Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. We're your hosts, John and Kristen Barber, and today we're here to talk about the trade deadline that just passed about 30 minutes ago, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on August 7th. There were a couple moves over the last week, one of which we've already talked about, but we're just going to remind you, if you didn't see that it happened, what happened. But before we get into all those details, Kristen, how are you?
Hello, I'm great. I love a trade deadline. I think one of the squares on our bingo board is more trade deadline activity compared to last year. I had foreseen that John and I would get into an argument about what that means. But I do think that there was more this year, if at least more significant compared to last year.
Sure. I think if we're counting the Aaliyah Edwards trade, the Brittany Sykes trade, the Dejanay trade, which happened within this week as the deadline deals for this season, all three varying degrees, but all significant.
Yeah.
All significant. So we're going to pat ourselves on the back. I'm going to pat myself on the back and say this was a successful trade deadline for the bingo board. Obviously, the CBA plays into why you might not have seen as many smaller deals. I was hoping for like a on the buzzer deal. Nothing really happened. We had the Aaliyah Edwards news at lunchtime today, so it was kind of a quiet afternoon. But regardless, we still have trades to talk about. So before we do that, just a reminder, if you'd like to send us an email and let us know how you're feeling about the big trades, how your team may be affected by them, you could do so at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok at ATBPod. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform it is that you use to listen to us, and subscribe to the YouTube if you would be so kind. All right, let's do reverse order. So we'll start with the Aaliyah Edwards trade that dropped today on deadline day. Aaliyah Edwards traded from Washington to Connecticut in return for J.C. Sheldon and a 2026 pick swap. The pick swap being the first round picks of the Lynx and the Liberty, which are owned by these two teams. Kind of a confusing thing. I didn't realize at the moment when we got the news that there was even any pick asset attached. But in this case, what it will be is Washington will effectively get the better of the two first round picks, one of New York, one of Minnesota. And we would expect that, given where the things are, it'll probably be the Liberty unless the Lynx really fall off. So let's call it the 11th pick in the draft and J.C. Sheldon for Aaliyah Edwards. Thoughts?
When they would have had, say, the 13th pick in the draft.
Correct.
So that's marginally better.
Marginally.
Fine.
Yeah.
A little silly, but
It's
fine.
a little silly.
I mean, I was just so confused at first reading all of that because I just didn't remember. It's so hard to keep track of what Connecticut had the Lynx pick and Washington had New York's pick. And I'm like, how is New York?
Right, the other way.
Okay.
See, even there you go. It was the other way.
It's just was very confusing. When you think, okay, they had the 13th essentially, now they'll have perhaps the 11th or 12th.
Right.
Not that big of a difference.
No.
I do like this trade in general, though, really for both sides. It's kind of funny in general, I think, for the Sun to be making trades where they're just very much in a rebuilding situation and a very up in the air situation of like where their team is even going to be in 2 years and who their owners are going to be.
Yeah, we talked about that on the Dallas pod, and I know I probably made it sound like it was a done deal to Boston. Apparently not the case, since in the last 3 or 4 days, it's been constant news of fighting and figuring out where that's going to be. So very uncertain, as you mentioned, for
Yeah.
Connecticut.
But I do like that even these lower ranked teams are still looking for moves that they can do to make the team better.
Sure.
And I do totally see how they would have, wanted to move JC. And it does seem like JC had an inkling that she also wanted to move. I think that's not incredibly surprising because not many players want to be playing in Connecticut. But it did seem like, now with Marina back in the lineup, JC really hasn't been getting that many more minutes. She is, has been relegated to the bench. So I totally think this is a great opportunity for JC to have, more of an impact on a team in Washington compared to what she was having in Connecticut, especially because Washington also moved Slim.
Right.
So they're getting a guard back in this case, which is good.
Sure.
It is just crazy for JC Sheldon in general because I was like, okay, JC didn't get drafted by the Sun. I could not remember what team JC was on last year. But of course she was on the Dallas Wings.
Yes.
And honestly, I think she would have stayed on the Wings had the Wings not gotten the first overall pick. Yeah, we're going to take Paige Beckers.
Yeah.
Sorry, you have to leave. So it's just been a crazy ride for JC Sheldon.
Yeah.
And with Georgia Amore coming back next year, what will happen to her then?
Right.
I don't know.
I know. That's what's kind of weird about it to me. That was my first thing. I was like, okay, so you're going to have, Sonia Citron and Georgia Amore. You're definitely going to retain them. Shug Sutton has played a ton for you. Is that a player that you want to keep around in the locker room as a more of a veteran presence, I guess? Now you add JC Sheldon
and Jade Melvin. They love
Jade Melvin. And you're going to have a top 5 pick in the draft.
Yep.
And just looking at the draft class, I mean, there's a bunch of really good guards at the top of the class. Olivia Miles, Flau'jae Johnson. I don't know. I honestly don't know what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. But they move on from one of their bigs in Aaliyah Edwards. And, we were talking about it just the other day about, what does this look like for Shakira Austin? Is Shakira Austin now that, with Kiki Iriafen being so good, does Shakira, also have a desire to stay? And her immediate reaction to this trade and the subsequent, Slim trade was she lost her Buki, she lost her Rook. She was really going through it.
Shakira,
heartbreaking emojis.
Yes, Shakira was really upset. And Kiki was really upset. Did you see Kiki said?
I did not.
Kiki was like, I don't know if she said this just on social media or in a press conference or something, but she said this was her welcome to the W moment where all of a sudden you're gone.
Yeah.
This player who she said this after Slim.
Yeah, right.
So now again, it happened with Aaliyah Edwards. That doesn't happen in college. The middle of the season, you just leave when you don't want to. So yeah, she was really impacted by it too.
That's tough. But we knew Aaliyah Edwards was most likely going to get traded.
Correct.
So this was the main deal that I was expecting today. Can't say I was expecting Connecticut. Heard buzz about Chicago, which wouldn't have made any sense to me. Heard buzz about Golden State, which would have made a lot of sense to me. But she ends up in Connecticut. She's still under contract in 2026. So this is going to be a player that Connecticut is going to retain. And I don't hate, giving her an opportunity to hang out with Tina, learn some tips and tricks from Tina. Aaliyah Edwards was just a player that we were very high on after Unrivaled, and things didn't work out that great for her this year in Washington. They decide to shop her. They end up moving her, and now they're, going to have to decide if they want to keep Shakira Austin around, or if they end up with one of those top picks, do they go with a big? Because now they have so many guards. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, they have bigs too. I mean, they have Stephanie Dolson too.
Yeah. But Kiki's the only sure thing.
Yeah.
That they have there. As a big, I mean.
Right.
Whereas like a lot of the other guards now, you probably expect them to retain. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have 3 first-round picks again in this upcoming draft.
That's wild.
Because they got another one when they traded for Brittany Sykes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's sum that trade up before we talk about the Slim trade. Washington getting JC, just going to be a rotation. This, continues to trigger to me that Washington does not have an intention of attempting to make the playoffs despite being close. And I know a lot of fan sentiment is that they were right outside and it was looking like they had an opportunity this year, but for the long term, the lottery pick in what looks to be a very decent draft in this coming year seems to be the right way for them to go. And then Connecticut hopefully has an upside swing in Aaliyah Edwards, who I would expect to get a lot of time on a team that is worse than the league.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I think it's decent for Connecticut, where they do have a lot of guards. They have been better of late now that Layla Lacan has joined the team.
True.
A very good guard. So they kind of fill a spot in a forward, a bigger player, bringing in Aaliyah Edwards. So I think it is good for Connecticut. I mean, I don't think they either have intentions to make the playoffs at this point. It's probably impossible. Mm-hmm. But I guess it just brings more excitement. Even like this league, they want to capitalize on people watching and fans coming. Mm-hmm. And so I totally think they're thinking, how can we still make this fun, even though we know we're not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. And all they gave up was like 2 spots in the draft, potentially.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Worthwhile deal. Not going to blame either team, really.
No.
For the move. Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about Brittany Sykes. This happened a couple days back. I thought about, do we need to do a pod? We'll just add it all into this trade deadline pod. Unfortunately, because there isn't more news, this is an appropriate place to put it. Brittany Sykes was moved from Washington to Seattle in a return that included Alicia Clark, guard Zai Cook, and the 2026 first-round pick from Seattle. So there's the extra first-round pick that will be, let's say, somewhere in the 9-10 range for Washington, unless Seattle overperforms, which they could now that they have Brittany Sykes, who is an all-star. They decide to waive Zai Cook, who was included in this trade for salary, and they bring back Alicia Clark to Washington, who that was kind of the bummer to me because, she signs with Seattle. It's looking like she's going to retire with Seattle.
Yeah, where she won championships before. Like, it seemed like she was excited to be there.
Yeah. But unfortunately, her role with the team and what she was providing to the team that is like in the thick of the playoff hunt just wasn't what they needed right then. Now, Brittany Sykes ends up in Seattle. And if you didn't see her farewell message on Instagram, she did include at the very bottom of did the typical, like, I've loved my time with Washington, was very effusive in her praise, clearly cared about the organization, cared about the players. But then she said, and this is a quote, P.S., making decisions for yourself is a hell of a liberating feeling, with the shaking my head emoji. So that has led a lot of people to believe that Brittany Sykes may have requested a trade. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't know for sure, but Sykes is playing better this year. She's been the engine for a Washington team that has overperformed. She wants to go get a championship. Mm-hmm. She's 31. So, she's doing the player empowerment move, potentially, of going out of her way and going to play for a team that has a better chance of winning a championship. And honestly, I don't blame her.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't. Like it seems like Washington has such a good family, mentality and they loved each other, but yeah, I get you are here to win and you want to win. So I don't blame her at all.
First off, I just think this is a good move for Seattle for me. I think this is worth the first round pick to see what you can do in the playoffs. I think Brittany Sykes is going to slot into their starting five pretty well. I think she gives them a very high quality starting five. And then you move Erica Wheeler to continue coming off the bench, Dominique Malunga coming off the bench. Brittany Sykes is very capable. We know that about her. And if it's a night where Gabby doesn't have it or NECA doesn't have it or Sky doesn't have it, could be Slim's night. Like I'm sure she's going to surprise us. And of course it's what's also strange is if it is truly a rental, like if they don't actually sign her to another contract and they're just basically trading a first for, let's call it 16 games of Brittany Sykes, that's where you question, is it worth it? It's not worth it. But we've seen the way that she's played this year and she increases their ceiling significantly. I would think that they're like probably fourth best odds right now with how their things are shaked out. When you look at the New Yorks, the Minnesotas, the Atlantas of the world, right at this time.
Okay.
And I that's just kind of like a vibe check for me. Obviously it's going to take a couple days to get it going. We're going to see her play tomorrow for the first time in Seattle. So going to have to pay attention to that because, even just the other day, they lost by 4 points to Minnesota.
Yep.
So they played well. New York is hurt. Atlanta has other players that are hurt. So it's worth a shot.
Yeah, I do think Seattle has just been so close. Last year, they were so close. This year, they've been so close. They just need like one more piece. Obviously, they lost Jewel Lloyd and they didn't really replace her.
Right.
So, this does that in some sense. I just think it's going to be so funny to watch Skylar Diggins and Brittany Sykes together playing because they are just like the two most energetic people in the league. They're just going to be like running
circles around them.
Yeah.
They didn't exactly need an energy player because they have Sky, who's like a constant battery, but I think it works.
I think it should work. Thing to have. Yeah.
I think it should work. So I'm really interested. This was, of the three trades, probably the one that was the most interesting to me, and definitely the one that has, the most difficult fan sentiment. I've seen a lot of Washington fans say that this just isn't enough to get in return for Brittany Sykes. But if she did request a trade quietly because it wasn't public, then, they quietly shopped her. And in my mind, with the way that the team performed over expectations this season, I think they said, yeah, if you do want to trade Slim, we will honor that because you have been a faithful player for us for a while now. I think it makes sense to me. If it was open to everybody in the league, probably could have gotten a little bit more, but really can't blame him here.
I don't think it's horrible. I think it was pretty even.
And Alicia Clark gets to play more now in Washington, I guess.
Perhaps. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I wish the best for Alicia Clark.
And the last trade that we have to mention here, which we talked about on the Dallas Wings episode that we put up a couple days back. Go back and check that out if you want to hear us talk about a little bit more of the instant reaction to it, because it was that day, was Dejanay Carrington being traded from Dallas to Minnesota in return for Diamond Miller, the second overall pick from that 2023 draft class, Carly Samuelson, and a 2027 second round pick from Minnesota following the trade, Carly Samuelson was waived by Dallas. Diamond Miller has played her first game in Dallas, and DiJonai has played her first game in Minnesota. So why don't we just talk about that? Because it looked like it worked for Minnesota.
Yes. Well, I'll say, like, looking at all of our trade activity, I will say this is my favorite trade of all three of them. This is, like, I've been so hard on Minnesota because they didn't do anything in this offseason or in this beginning of this season to get better. Back. And they were so close to winning, and they just, like, needed, if they did one trade, I'm like, yes, okay, you're like, now you can really do it. And they hadn't been doing it. I'm like, what are they doing? They're just staying the same when New York has gotten better and Phoenix has gotten better and now Seattle, you know? So everyone else was doing stuff and not them. So that was making me upset for Minnesota. But here they are, and getting DiJonai, I think, was a great move for them. It brings them so much more energy on defense, frees up the rest of the players who shoot their threes, you know, like they do so well. And she had an incredible first game.
She did. She played quite well, and she played a good bit. A full 18 minutes. Clearly had the support of Cheryl Reeve. Gave a big hug to Cheryl. I saw a post today on TikTok that said Cheryl hasn't hugged anybody since 2013, and she's hugging DiJonai Carrington here.
Aww.
So that's telling. That's telling. And you could tell in DiJonai's responses following the game when she was asked, you know, how did it feel to get your first win in Minnesota? It was very clear that she was ready to get out of Dallas.
I mean, she literally said, this is the first time I've had fun playing basketball this year.
I think she said one of the first times.
No, she said, this is the first time.
Oh, that's telling. That's telling.
Yeah, that's concerning to me.
A little bit concerning about Dallas. But, hey, she's having fun.
Yeah, good.
She's bolstering their defense. She had an incredible block at the glass that was, you know, vintage DiJonai.
Yeah.
The player that we expected her to be all year in Dallas, the player that we saw when she was most improved in Connecticut. And, you know, with Fee being out for a couple more weeks, she's going to really help anchor that defense, like you said. She's going to keep them at the top of the table. And then, you know, if Fee comes back healthy and you have DiJonai in rotation with her stud buds, I think that Minnesota only improved their chances of winning that championship.
Absolutely.
This season. And if that is the case, then it was a worthwhile trade for Washington to get that pick swap, because
I guess
there you go. You get a little bit better, because New York is certainly not going to pass Minnesota in the standings.
No, they're like 6 games back.
Yeah.
Diamond Miller did play in her first game on Dallas versus the Liberty. So that was a tough game in general. She played 7.5 minutes, didn't have any points, but had a rebound.
Yeah.
She had, I'm looking through the other stats. She had 2 turnovers, but
hey, it's okay.
Look, it's fine. I'm excited to see her play more, because I just felt like there was so much hype around Diamond Miller this year. I guess from Minnesota and from Minnesota fans trying to make some light of the fact that they didn't do any other moves in the offseason. Oh, Diamond Miller's coming back though, and Diamond Miller's going to play, and then she didn't really play at all. So I am excited to see her play more on this young and developing Dallas team, hoping that we can really see what everyone's saying, and that, you know, she's very good. She was the 2nd overall pick a couple years ago. So I'm excited to see her. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't really have anything else to add that you didn't already say. More playtime for Diamond is good. She clearly has promise. We've seen her have good games. Even I think it was the first game of the year that she really impressed me, because we hadn't seen her the previous season. So whatever she can bring to that Dallas squad as they do their thing for the last couple games of the year will be good for them. And then they can figure out if, if Diamond is a player that they want to retain in their expansion drafts, because that's going to come and that's going to take a lot of players from a lot of teams. And it's going to be really interesting to get into in the off season, but we're a little ways away from that. Just to put a bow on all this, I would think that, obviously we got less trade action than I might have expected because the CBA is still in its limbo.
Correct.
But
when 90% of players are just going to be free agents at the end of this year, I'm not going to waste all my draft picks to get you for 2 months.
Yeah.
We don't know the rules.
Well, kind of know. We don't know the rules about how 2 teams are going to be expanding. Is it going to be 5 that you can protect? Is it going to be 6 still? Who the heck knows? Kind of weird that the league, doesn't give out that information when we're like, not too far away from it, but I would appreciate it coming out soon. And I would appreciate, a CBA that benefits these players because they deserve their money. I'll continue to beat that drum. But I would think next year you'd even see more trade action because everyone's going to be on the start of a contract.
Correct. And there's not going to be an expansion team in 27.
Correct.
So next year's like our one normal year.
Correct.
Perhaps. And then the 3 years after that is expansion again.
And I am looking forward to it when it all culminates in a team in the city of Philadelphia.
Yes.
But I think that's going to do it for this quick one, this little MIDI talking about the trade deadline. Yeah, well, we'll be back this weekend. We're going to talk about the Phoenix Mercury, who we've been following over this week, and they've been playing really well. AT's been playing exceptional, so look forward to us talk more praise about Alyssa Thomas, who deserves all of that. But Kristen, I'm staring at the baseline, and what are we going to do?
Attack it.
Attack the baseline. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back soon talking about the Phoenix Mercury.